Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Ross Benjamin, along with my co-host, Chip Chirimbes, professional sports handicapper out of Las Vegas. Chip's been on a real roll. Took a tough beat last night in college football, but he did win the NFL as well as I did. And Chip told you yesterday, you should buy both of our picks. I had the total, and Chip had the side. He had the Rams. I had the under. Chipper, we had a good night in the NFL, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was great. And, neither of our plays were threatened at any point in time. The Rams are in total command, and you could see that the Patriots just weren't going to be able to put anything together against this defense. The scenario that we put together for this game worked out absolutely to the max to what we had said. And you had the under, I had the Rams. And I don't think any of us really were in jeopardy at any point in time, threatened. Like even in my mind, which I never, ever settle and say, oh, this is, I don't. You felt comfortable here. I never felt threatened.
Yeah, it was. It would be nice if they were all that easy, right, Chip? I mean, again, you've been red hot in both college football and the NFL, but a little bit of a bad beat last night in that Pittsburgh Georgia Tech game. For those of you who didn't watch, Chip had what'd you have plus 6.5 last night on Georgia Tech?
Plus 6.5 and 7. They were down 6 with the 2 minutes to go, and the ball was on their own 40. But Pittsburgh had the ball, and I'm thinking to myself, just make a first down, and the game's over. And the same kid that started the game with like a 79-yard touchdown run on the first play ended the game with a 38-yard touchdown run. Ross, he's supposed to run out at the 1-yard line. Come on.
Yeah, go figure, right? I mean, I know. I mean, they're the conspiracy theorists out there.
Well, it hurt me one game this year. We had to run him back how many steps out of bounds at the one. And
Nick Chubb for Cleveland. Yep. Yeah. So, look, it's part of sports betting.
It is now, isn't it?
There'll be a lot of people sitting in Chip's chair right now. We know some of them personally. They would be saying, you can't tell me this isn't a fix kind of thing. So, again, it's all part of it. The thing is, and Chip will tell you the same thing, I'm pretty confident he would anyway, is we always remember the bad beats like what Chip suffered last night. We never remember, or we don't bring up the games we win like that. It's almost like
that's because that's where it's like golf. Our best round ever is in our mind how good a golfer we are. You sit there, if you get one round of 80 and the rest of your rounds are 97, you're an 80s golfer in your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing here.
Yeah, well, and again, what I was about to say was,
sorry.
Both of those. No, that's okay. Both of those scenarios, the bad beats and the ones we win like that, they will even out over the course of time, folks. Anybody who says they're always on the wrong side of these bad beats, that's because you have a short memory. You don't remember the ones you win like that.
Because you were supposed to win those games, Ross.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what I was about to say. And you know what? The key is to win those games that are won decisively a lot more than the ones you lose decisively. And that's the name of the game. That's where you're going to become successful when it comes to sports betting. Chipper, tell the folks a little bit about, by the way, folks, we're changing our format a little bit. Every Friday, what we're going to do here through the course of the end of the football season, today it's going to be a college football and NFL free pick from myself and Chip, one apiece. So you're going to get 4 free picks from us today at the end of the show, which we're going to start that sequence pretty shortly, and segment, I should say. And also, once college football ends, college basketball is here, and we'll dabble into college basketball a little. A lot of you folks, like to play college basketball on Saturdays, so Friday will be an opportune moment for us to look at some college basketball games for the following day, although that's always tough, right, Chip, especially in this day and age with COVID-19. But, we're going to do our best our can to provide you with. I know some people get a little tired of the back and forth with us, meaning we like to analyze games, look at point spreads, and, something different than just viewing a video to get a free pick, right, Chip? I mean, what we're trying to do in our early week shows is we're trying to educate you as well. Not only give you some insight from us, but hopefully you walk away from the show and you say, hey, you know what? Chip said something yesterday I never thought of. Hey,
You
you know
know,
what? Ross said something, and I never looked at it from that perspective. You know what I mean, Chip? So that's what we're trying
exactly.
to. Yeah,
It's a rationale that we present that maybe they hadn't considered, and that's what I
right,
want to say, because like I said, there's a number of ways to come up with a winner, and I don't begrudge anyone that's got North Dakota State. When I'm looking at LSU and Alabama, it
right.
doesn't matter. A win's a win. So there's, like we said, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I've learned a lot since we started this, just from being around you. So
Yeah,
I'm,
I mean, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, um, there's times when, and I'm sure you out there that are listening and viewing are on the fence on a couple games, and we might be able to either push you over the edge to use that game or
oh,
keep you away. Now a lot of people will criticize us when we get them off a game, but I could tell you right now, with the utmost confidence, that over the long haul, if we push you off a game that you're on the fence on, more times than not, we're going to be right. Okay. So you could take that to the bank. And again, as soon as we're wrong on one of those, I'll hear about it all over on these comments. But it is the nature of the beast.
no,
Look,
nobody
we've
wins every day, Ross.
no,
That's
but we've been doing it a long time.
I know,
So
but it's okay. We should produce, and I'm looking forward to
yeah,
this
well, it's
weekend.
our job, right? But we also have thick skin because we've been called every name in the book, mostly by people with unrealistic expectations
Are you
or
kidding?
bitter sports bettors. You know what I mean?
I heard that from
They,
my family.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, let's get to the meat and potatoes. College football free pick, Chipper. What do you got?
I'm looking at this Georgia Missouri game. Missouri opened their season against Alabama, and they were getting 28, Ross, and I really they got beat, I think, 38-19 in that contest. And they gave the Crimson Tide. I didn't think they were threatening to win the game, but they stayed in the game after being like intimidated, I think, in the first quarter. They played them pretty even the rest of the way. And since then, they've come on. They've won 5 of their last 6. And this Georgia team, I see as a major disappointment. Their 2 biggest games, they fell real flat against Florida, and Alabama pushed them around in the second half. And I just, they've made a move at quarterback. You turned me on to that fact, and because I had criticized the kid had started the season, their walk on, I believe he had been there 4 years, and they gave him a shot, and he just wasn't up to it. But I don't think Georgia is the same elite Georgia Bulldog team that we've seen in the past. And I think Missouri's hungry here, and I like Tigers always to eat Bulldogs. So I have Missouri as my best as a free play anyway. So.
Another insightful sports handicapping tip from professional sports
Oh,
handicapper out of
oh,
Las Vegas, Chip Chirimbes. I got to start writing all of these down. Yeah, Chip, you know what? I can't disagree with you on that one. And nor would I look to if unless I absolutely
yeah.
was adamant that I had a strong opinion. But yeah, here's the thing too. You got to look at with Georgia, Chip. I mentioned this a couple days ago to you. You mentioned it. I mean, their 2 big games this year, they went flat. They got beat up
Yeah.
against Florida and Alabama. This team went into the season, and their aspirations and goals were A, to get to the SEC title game and win it, and B, end up in the college football playoff and a possible national championship. Well, they're not going to attain any of that. And now they go on the road to face a Missouri team as a double-digit favorite on the road, a Missouri team that's feeling pretty darn good about themselves, Chip. You mentioned they won 5 of their last 6, and they're now in the top 25. So,
And
yeah, I can't. That's a pretty solid pick to me.
and that Florida game that got beat, they jumped out to a 14-0 lead and then was never in it after that. And they hung out with Alabama until the mid-third period. It was virtually tied. And they had one faux pas, one happenstance. I think they committed a penalty on a third down after having stopped the Tide. Instead of it being a 6-point lead, it then turned into a 10-point lead, and the floodgates were open. I just think the Bulldogs have a very small bite, and maybe they're still barking, but I don't like them here at all. I think that Missouri has a good chance to give them all they want to handle here.
Look, unequivocally, Georgia's the more talented team, right? I mean, no, we're not going to dispute that. I don't know anybody who would. But a lot of times the most talented team don't win or don't cover. And sometimes it's about from the neck up, and
Well,
it's about the motivation. And
yeah,
where I was going with Georgia not attaining their goals
right.
was that they're not going to be as inspired as a Missouri team after starting 0-2, looking like it's going to be a long season, winning 5 of their last 6. All of a sudden now they're looking at a winning campaign, a bowl game, and a top 25 ranking. So you tell me who's going to be more motivated in this game. Now, talent might end up being the difference here, but you always have to you always have to consider what's the mental state of both teams. And in
No,
my opinion, Missouri is in a better place mentally going into this game than Georgia.
they should be really confident in themselves. Ross, last
Yeah.
week they scored 50 points, had over 650 yards on offense, and they had 603 total yards offense the week before against Vanderbilt. So I have to think that they believe they're going to be able to score on this team and at least stay with them. And I think they can win the game.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if that's the result. Okay,
Yeah,
but
they're playing to
uh,
win.
like I tell everybody, when you got a pretty sizable underdog like that, I'm a proponent of this, Chip. I very seldom will take an underdog unless I think they have a realistic opportunity to win straight up. Even if it's just a small probability, I want to know that in my mind. I'm taking an underdog at the end of the day that may pull the upset or win the game outright, even if it's a small number. Okay.
maybe
Uh,
maybe that's
but
what kicked me off Tennessee last week.
yeah, that's a perfect example.
Against Florida.
Exactly.
We talked about the
Exactly.
game and didn't think they would be able to get there and shied away from it. They got
Yeah.
there, but they were certainly outplayed.
Oh, certainly. I mean, they scored 2 late touchdowns to get inside the 17-point number.
Yeah.
So again, um, that was a perfect example of what I'm just saying.
Right.
That's a Tennessee team that when I looked at it, I said, you know what? This looks like a good spot for them, but they've lost 5 in a row. What's the
Right.
chance, even a small possibility of them winning?
Yep.
I didn't like that chance. Okay. Now, somebody we know had Tennessee, God bless them.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Now, having said that,
Yes.
okay, and I don't want to beat this subject
Do
to
you have a
death.
base play for me this week in
What,
college?
what's that?
Do you have a free play for me in college?
I do. I do.
I want
I'm
to
going
hear
to
it.
get to it. Okay. What are you so antsy about? Well, I'm going to get to it, buddy. What I'm about to say, though, is I don't know what I was about to say because you
Sorry.
just broke my train of thought.
I did. I'm
You
sorry.
should. What I was about to say was never get greedy. Take the points as an additional bonus, even if you have a good feeling about them winning straight up. My free play is going to be in the game between Michigan State and Penn State. Penn State has been a team that Chip's been uh, on later in the year, and he's been right on with that. And I'm going to continue that trend. This is a Penn State team that's coming off 2 straight wins and covers. And their defense has really stepped up over the last 2 games, allowing just 12 points per contest and 245 yards per game. And, this is a Penn State team. I look at them offensively. We mentioned this several times, how many times they've shot themselves in the foot this year. Chipper, they've played 7 games. They've had 400 or more yards of total offense in 4 of those 7 contests, 385 in another one. The problem is they shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers and penalties and missed field goals.
This
So
field goal is unbelievable.
they seem to have cleaned that up a little bit in the last 2 games. And they're going to play with this Michigan State team. Just looks to me like they can't wait to get to the finish line. Look, it's been a terrible year. Let's just move on. 2020 has been a bad year for everybody, especially us. Let's get this season over with. They're going on the road against a 2-5 Penn State team, and they're a 2-touchdown underdog. So you look at Michigan State too. Over the last 4 games, 3 of those contests they scored 12 points or less.
Yeah.
You're not going to win like that.
No,
So I just think I'm going to ride the momentum here on Penn State over Michigan State. To me, is a terrible team. And go with the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now they're minus 14.5, Chip, but I'm going to recommend to everybody, including myself, it's a key number. When you get to 3,
Right.
6, 7, 13, and 14 in college football. Buy off that key number and buy it down to 14. It's not a sign of weakness, folks. It's not a lack of confidence. It's smart. It's just smart. You're going to pay extra juice. I could live with a damn push on a key number. I can't live with losing by a half a point, Chipper. So, any comments on that game in my analysis?
I was looking at that game, analyzing it and going through it last night, and team is in 7 games. 2-5. Penn State has outgained their opponents by nearly 600 total yards on the season. They dominated some of these games they got beat in. That North Carolina game, like you said, 3 missed field goals, 10 penalties. There are all kinds
That
of.
was actually the Indiana game in the Indiana
game. Penn State, Indiana, their opener. But and they never recovered. Then they played Ohio State and played tough and faltered at the end. And then they had to have a lull of disappointment after that. But they have played well, and their last 2 times out. And
Nebraska game, they outplayed Nebraska too, right?
This spread coming, and this game's been moved to I don't know if anyone's aware, but moved from 3:30 in the afternoon tomorrow to noon Eastern. And I have to like your side. I favor your side here. The idea that they're this strong a favorite, I think if you look at the numbers and you didn't look at the record of the teams, it was justifiable. But I think what Bobby said, other people are betting on teams' records, and we're looking at things in a different way. So I think that I would lay this here without a doubt.
Yeah, and people are also looking at the brand names, Penn State and Michigan State. If you can get one of them as a 2-touchdown underdog, you got to look at the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's you're looking at a team that got off to a surprising 0-5 start in Penn State. And should have won at least 2 of those games. And now they've come back to win their last 2. And they've been dominant in doing so. And Michigan State just looks like a bad football team to me right now. And their offense, to me, is way below average for a Big Ten caliber team. And so I'm going to go with Penn State. I'm going to go minus 14.5, buy it down to 14. Let's talk about the NFL. What do you got, Chipper?
I got one again. I love this game because I can get a chance to badmouth everybody. There's nothing good to say about anybody between the Houston Texans, who are an embarrassment to the entire state. I apologize, Lone Star State, and the Chicago Bears, who've lost 6 in a row, and they did some job last week against the Lions. I'll tell you that.
Talk about finding ways to lose.
And the teams now. Is Matt Nagy, that's his name, I believe, the head coach there? How long is they're supposed to be greasing the skids for him to get out of Chicago, and Houston's already made a change. And we had Houston did their best last week to slit our throats, fumbling at the 2 in the last minute. I mean,
so dramatic, Chipper.
Come on, man! That game, we need this game. That was a big game for us. That turns a 3-3 day into a 4-2 day, and everyone's happy and no one's grumbling. So this Texan team, I think they have no heart. I have no character. I think that the Bears are just inept at so many times, and very disappointing the Bear defense this year. And
especially lately, right, Chip?
The Houston defense is worse. They're 30th they're the worst in the league. And if you get rid of your top receiver, you send him away, you jettison your coach. I think this team is just, you want to talk about playing out the string. I think they're thinking of the holidays and wondering if golf clubs are going to allow them to play. And but country clubs, shall I say, golf country clubs. But I don't like Texans here at all. I think if they have a chance to lay down, they will. And I think the Bears, I think there's so much pressure on them locally, the media and the national media as well, that they're looking to regain some kind of self-confidence or some kind of stride and strut. They are professionals. They were 5-1 at one time.
Yep.
Quarterbacking is a question here, and probably just as a ha-ha, if you like to do this type of thing, maybe the unders decide here. But because of the lack of offense on the Chicago Bears, totally, and I just don't get it. I mean, how this team hasn't gotten better offensively at all.
So what's your play? You're all over
Bears.
me.
I got the Bears. Said, oh, your Bears are going to eat Texas. This is
Yeah,
Texas.
all right.
Embarrassment.
Okay. The Bears are your play. All right. Very good, buddy.
Absolutely. Bears are going to eat them up.
Now that I dropped my notes,
Bears roar.
the Bears chippers still, believe it or not, even though they've lost 6 in a row, still have an outside chance at the wild card spot.
There you go.
You
That's
got
why I like
Minnesota
them.
at 6-6. You have Arizona at 6-6, and I think there's one other team at 6-6 that are holding down. They're tied for last wild card position. Now, if you know, my point again is motivation, right? You're not out of it yet, even though maybe realistically you are, because you can't see the team turning the tide after you shouldn't have the opportunity to have a playoff chance when you lose 6 in a row, but it's there, you know, and Houston has no shot. So in that light, I would give them a little bit of edge above the neck again. So you're pretty good at those above the neck plays. If you could talk for just 1 second and entertain our guest, I would like to pick up my notes and give you the NFL pick I have.
All right. Well, you know, the NFL Chicago. Are you back? Are you back already?
Yeah, I'm back.
Golly, I thought I had the stage. I was ready to start dancing.
Hey, it's not a good sign when you have a free pick and you drop the paper. It's called fumbling the winner. Anyway, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'm waiting for you.
All right. So let me get to the free pick. The San Francisco 49ers and the Washington football team will play in Arizona on a neutral field on Sunday because of San Francisco not being able to play in the Bay Area because of all the COVID restrictions. So it's at a neutral site, and they didn't do very well on a neutral site the first time around as they entertained the Buffalo Bills last week and were, I don't know about trounced, but they were handled pretty well, 34-24 loss. Having said all that, these two teams played last year, and it was a 9-0 game. And that was a San Francisco offense that's much better than this version of the San Francisco offense. And the Washington football team, you can make a good case, the most underrated defense in all the NFL. And I don't mean that statistically, Chip, but I'm just saying that nobody gives them enough credit. And like I said, when they were, somewhere around 2 and 3 and 7, whatever they were, that the only reason we don't hear more about the Washington defense is the record in the division they play in. But you look at the last 3 games for Washington, they're allowing 12 points per game. And the run defense, the last 3, Chipper, the opposition is 50 rushing attempts and only 151 yards, just a shade over 3 points per game. During that time, they've allowed just 14 points per contest and 281.7 yards per game. And this is a San Francisco offense of late, 15 turnovers over the last 6 games, Chipper. You can't win when you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, on defensively, okay, this is where a lot of people will be surprised because both of these teams sport 5-7 records, but it's been no fault of each defense. I mean, I know San Francisco had a bad game defensively last week, but Washington's not the offense that Buffalo has. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to sound biased. I think most objective observers would agree with that. But the Washington football team, number 4 in total defense this year. San Francisco, number 6 in total defense. The Washington third down efficiency on defense, number 9 in the NFL. Number 8 in the NFL. San Francisco, number 9. Washington is number 8 in scoring defense. Where am I going with this? I think styles make fights. To use a boxing analogy, I think these two teams are going to be in for a knockout, drag-out type affair. Again, Washington's still battling. They're tied with the Giants at top of the NFC East with 5-7 records. Like Chicago, San Francisco, although it looks improbable at this point, are still mathematically alive for a wild card spot, Chip. And I like this game to go under the total of 43. That'll be Washington, San Francisco under 43 on Sunday.
Yeah, I can't make an argument against you. I mean, San Francisco, got blown out last week. We would pretty much say that. And after double-digit losses, Ross, they've gone under 4-0-1. So it looks like they come back and they garner their defenses. And you said it, both these teams, Washington's allowing 311 yards a game, and Niners fell a little bit because of the game against Buffalo. They're at 326. I don't think there's any other way to go but under. Both teams play to the under, and both teams have that lack of offense. There's no explosiveness on either side. The most explosive player the football team has is running back Antonio Gibson, and you're not going to break too many 80-yard runs in a game.
Yeah, he got hurt last week in the first
Did he
quarter.
really?
Yes, so I don't even think he's going to be available. I guess you can make a case that Terry McLaurin is a deep threat, but if he's the only deep threat against a good defense like San Francisco, and again, folks, like I said, styles make fights. Facing the Washington offense is a little different than facing Buffalo like they did last week.
Yeah.
Josh Allen at this point of his career is a much better quarterback than Alex Smith. With all due respect to Alex Smith, because he's performed well, much more mobile, has a better arm. And Buffalo's wide receivers are far and away better than Washington's wide receivers as a group. So there's a lot to be said there. And go ahead,
What's the
Chip.
price on this, Russ? The total?
43.
43?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's telling. This I think they're trying to tell you that game's supposed to stay under the total.
Yeah, I mean, I went under 43.5 with Washington last week on Monday night as a pace selection against Pittsburgh. And, it went to 40, but I never felt threatened in the second half that game was going to go over. And that's a pretty good Pittsburgh offense they faced last week. I know the Steelers have had trouble running the ball, but so has San Francisco, believe it or not, with those stable of running backs. You look at what they've done in the running game. I think I had this written down. The 49ers have only had 86 yards or less rushing in 4 of their last 5 games. So I know they always make a big deal out of San Fran's running game, but right now they haven't been productive. I get the fact they had some injuries there, and I get the fact they got their full complement of backs back. But again, I'm going to go under the total here. So reviewing again, I got Penn State, minus 14.5, buy them down to 14 over Michigan State. I'm going San Francisco, Washington under 43 for my free picks. And Chipper, you want to tell the folks what you had again?
I have Missouri against Georgia taking the points there. I'm not quite sure. I think the number's 14 and a half, in around there. Regardless, I think Missouri is the side. I think you have a good shot of even pulling the outright upset as a 2-touchdown underdog. And in the NFL, I got the creme de la creme. I had the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, in the Stinker Bowl. But somebody's got to win that game, right?
That's just it. That's what I said about Arizona State. The state is going to be celebrating tonight. They're going to get their first.
Yeah, but there's a big difference. That's a double-digit favorite, double-digit underdog, right? So somebody can win and not cover, and then some people are happy and the others aren't, So, but with Chicago and Houston, basically, if you win the game, you're going to cover. So anyway, that's it for Friday. And we're very glad that you could join us today, folks. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a like at the end of the video. We would certainly appreciate it, because we're trying to make you happy. You can make us happy as well by doing that simple click to the like button. And again, if you haven't subscribed, we highly encourage you to do so. It really helps keep these videos alive and keeps us motivated. So anyway, remember our website's chipwins.com. rbwins.com. Plenty of football action up in college football and the NFL this weekend. 2 guys are coming off NFL winners last night. Myself with the under in that contest between the Patriots and Rams, and Chipper with an easy winner on the Rams minus 6.5 over the Patriots. So again, for Chip Chirimbes, I'm Ross Benjamin. We like to wish you a very good weekend. Stay safe. Good luck, and God bless.